Chairman, I have a unanimous consent request.
Gentleman's recognized.
So I've got 4 documents I'd like to introduce into the record. The first one is Jeffrey Epstein's 6 story played out for years in plain sight. And Acosta is quoted in here saying, "I was told Epstein belonged to intelligence and to leave it alone." The second document is entitled, "What Epstein's Bodyguard Warned About His CIA Connections." The third document is from Fox Digital. It's titled, "Epstein's Private Calendar Reveals Planned Meetings with Obama Admin Official CIA Chief." And the last document is Wall Street Journal article that highlights Ehud Barak's 36 meetings with Jeffrey Epstein. He was the former Prime Minister of Israel and head of military intelligence for Israel. It may have held that title when he met Epstein, and then, yes.
Without objection, the gentleman will hold for a second. The gentleman from Maryland is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just one UC request. This is Judge Engelmeyer's decision from August in U.S. versus Epstein, stating the government's 100,000 pages of Epstein files dwarfs the 70-odd pages of Epstein grand jury materials.
Without objection, the gentleman from Kentucky is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Director Patel, I watched some of your Senate hearing yesterday when Senator Kennedy asked you, "You've seen most of the files. Who, if anyone, did Epstein traffic these women to besides himself?" You replied, according to the transcript, "There is no credible information that he trafficked them to anyone else." You also said somewhere in the hearing and here today that the problem is that the case files are constrained by limited search warrants from 2006 to 2007, and that the non-prosecution agreement hamstrung future investigations. Those constraints only apply to Southern District of Florida. They do not apply to Southern District of New York, the location of the 2019 sex trafficking indictment, which produced many things, including a series of FD 302 documents. According to victims who cooperated with the FBI in that investigation, these documents in FBI possession, your possession, detail at least 20 men, including Mr. Jess Staley, CEO of Barclays Bank, who Jeffrey Epstein trafficked victims to, victims including minors such as Virginia Roberts Giuffre, may she rest in peace. That list also includes at least 19 other individuals, one Hollywood producer worth a few $100 million, one royal prince, one high-profile individual in the music industry, one very prominent banker, one high-profile government official, one high-profile former politician, one owner of a car company in Italy, one rock star, one magician, at least 6 billionaires, including a billionaire from Canada. We know these people exist in the FBI files, the files that you control. I don't know exactly who they are, but the FBI does. Have you launched any investigations into any of these people, and have you seen these 302 documents?
Sir, I have asked my FBI agents to review the entirety of the Epstein files and bring forth any credible information, and we're working with Congress not only to divulge that information and produce it to you, but any investigations that arise from any credible investigation will be brought. There have been no new materials brought to me launching a new indictment.
So is the loophole here, or is it your assertion that these victims aren't credible, that the 302s maybe didn't produce credible statements that rise to a probable cause?
It's not my assertion, sir. It's the assertion of 2 different United States attorneys' offices from 3 separate administrations who investigated those same materials in lifetime.
Are the 302 documents in the FBI's possession?
They reviewed all that, yes, sir.
And so have you reviewed those 302 documents where the victims name the people who victimized them?
If I personally know, but the FBI has.
So how can you sit here and in front of the Senate and say there are no names?
I said
I named one today.
I said we are not in the practice at the Department of Justice FBI of releasing victims' names. That is not what we do. We are also not in the habit of releasing incredible information. That's not what we do. But multiple authorities have looked at the entirety of what we have.
Okay, I got to move on here. Were you present when the AG had the White House event when she released the binders to social media influencers?
I was, yes.
So if you're willing to meet with social media influencers who stood to benefit from the sensational and sad stories of these victims, will you meet with the victims as well?
The FBI will meet with anyone who has new information.
Will you personally meet with them?
The FBI and the professionals who are handling the cases will.
Were you instructed that it was important to release the documents to the Oversight Committee on the day of my introduction of the discharge petition to release these files?
I don't know what day that was, so no.
Well, they were released that day, and there were victims' names who weren't redacted because they were in such a rush, and the victims are not happy about that. Have you investigated any of the CIA connections? Have you seen the CIA file on Jeffrey Epstein? And if you wanted to see it, would they show it to you?
Well, I can speak for the FBI, and that's presuming there's a CIA case file, and I've reviewed everything that the interagency, not I, the FBI, that was provided to us.
Would you be willing to look at the CIA file on Jeffrey Epstein?
If there is such a file, and if it has not already been turned over to the FBI will look at any new investigative leads.
Have you made any progress on the pipe bomb investigation January 6th? And have you made any progress on the motive of the Las Vegas shooter?
As to the first, it's an ongoing investigation, and we have made progress. As to the second, sir, I'll have to get back to you.
All right, thank you. I yield back.
Mr. Chairman, I have a unanimous
Gentleman
consent
yields back.
request.
Unanimous consent request from the gentleman from New York.
I ask unanimous consent to introduce an unsigned memorandum from July 7, 2025 that says we did not uncover evidence that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties with the insignia of the Department of Justice and the FBI.
Without objection.
Mr. Chairman, I have a
Gentleman from Georgia.
unanimous consent request. It's an article entitled DOJ Deletes Study Showing Domestic Terrorists Are Most Often Right-Wing.
Without objection.
Thank you.
Gentleman from Georgia is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Director Patel, thank you for being here today. I want to first talk about the significant role that the FBI plays in combating the national security threats posed by our nation's greatest threat, our nation's greatest security threat, China and the Chinese Communist Party. It's a fact that China is America's most significant national security threat, isn't that correct?
I would say so, sir.
And you would agree with me that China wants to dominate the United States of America,
I think that's largely their plan.
and they want to dominate the world, both militarily and economically. Isn't that correct?
I think so.
And sir, you've been FBI director for the last 8 months,
7 months, yes.
7 months, and during that time, have you held any stock in any companies founded in China?
I don't believe so.
Well, you do own stock in a company known as Elite Depot, don't you?
Which one, sorry?
Elite Depot. You own stock.
I think that's, I'll have to get back to you. I think it's a law firm, and it's a company out of Singapore.
Okay, well, no, the company out of Singapore, which is owned by Elite Depot, is the Shein Company, which was founded in China, correct?
That company operates out of Taiwan.
Well, they changed their headquarters from China back in 2022 to Singapore for tax purposes, but it's owned by a Chinese billionaire. I think his name is Charlie Zhu, and you own stock in the company that owns Shein.
Which I disclosed during my confirmation
You
process.
certainly did. And now, do you still hold that stock in that Chinese company?
Pursuant to the Department of Justice, who reviewed my material that was submitted during my confirmation process, I was able to hold certain stocks, and they made the
You
decision.
still hold the stocks that you have? You still hold on to these Chinese stocks, these stocks in this Chinese company?
I disagree that it's a Chinese company, but I was in the DOJ, when you're appointed, makes a call on what you can and can't possess.
Well, now, let me ask you this. Chinese companies steal trademarks, they produce counterfeit products and sell them over the internet on platforms such as Shein. They steal intellectual property. They steal data from American companies. And to me, it seems inconsistent with your role as FBI director that you would own stock in a company that is based in a country that is the nation's premier national security threat. It's like you are putting your own financial security over the security of the nation.
I disagree with that characterization.
Well, I think the American people look at it like it's a classic situation of the fox guarding the hen house. If the FBI is charged with investigating espionage, economic espionage by companies controlled by the Chinese Communist Party, and you are the director of the FBI, you've got a conflict of interest.
Sir, I would just show if there's any intimation that I'm against.
Why are you holding on to this stock?
It wasn't a decision I made.
And it's valued at up to $5 million as of when you last reported, correct? $5 million in stock?
No, I don't follow it.
You don't follow it, but you're still making money off of it.
I don't have any money off of anything.
Well,
what I have done...
Trump's trade policies directly impact the value of that Chinese stock. Won't you agree with that?
Which trade policy? I'm not a trade expert.
Okay, all right.
But I want to tell you
Play
this.
Crazy on me today. Let me ask you this question. Why are you hiding pedophiles? Why are you shielding pedophiles? Why are you protecting pedophiles?
That is maybe the most offensive thing you could say to me, given the numbers.
Well, you have not released
Given the
Epstein
numbers
files.
of pedophiles.
You are aware of the
we have
Epstein
arrested-
client list that was published in the 18,000
The gentleman
emails
has
released.
expired. The gentleman yields
Can I just-
back.
Can he answer the
Can
question?
I just respond?
Of course, the gentleman can answer the question.
Since I took over the FBI, there has been a 33% increase.
Sir, all of that
Encounter-
started under Christopher
Your time
Ray.
is done, but
No, it didn't.
the witness gets
All
to
of
answer
that
the
started
question,
under
and then
the
we'll go to our
previous,
next.
33.
FBI director, sir, and you're coming in here trying to take credit for something that a previous director
Gentlemen,
instituted and largely brought to conclusion.
I take
I
no
think it's
credit.
been clear that
offensive.
the
It's
director
offensive.
has numbers are so
incorrect
much
also.
better than the previous director.
It's
Director Patel, if you want to
I take-
answer the question.
I take no credit. The men and women of the FBI have seen a 33% increase in the number of counterintelligence arrests out of the PRC.
So all of a sudden, with
And
you
the-
coming in 7 months ago,
and,
Gentlemen's time has
Heaven on earth.
expired.
and on the
sir,
pedophile
American public not gonna
accusation,
go for that.
we have arrested 1,500 child predators in the last 7 months.
Under
That's
investigations
more than
initiated by
anybody
the prior
Appreciate the
directorship.
director's good work, and we really appreciate that the time of the gentleman has expired. We now go to the gentleman from Texas.
I thank the chairman. I thank the FBI director for coming before the committee. I assume the FBI director, Mr. Patel, I believe you probably agree with me that there is a significant organized effort on the left side of the political spectrum to advance criminal organizations being able to put more criminals out on the streets. That what we've seen this in daily action. Are you familiar with the report that came out this last Monday from the Law Enforcement Legal Defense Fund?
I'm not familiar with that, sorry.
So this report came out this past Monday, and it said that significant amount of the money flowing out of George Soros and other leftist organizations and funders has been funding DAs and prosecutors, and quote, many of these DAs had never managed an office, prosecuted a criminal case, developed organizational policies. In dozens of America's largest cities and counties, this report finds these progressive district attorneys have outsourced core parts of the American criminal justice system to activists and political donors, taking direction and advice on everything from staffing decisions and communication strategy. Organizations, it's a complex web of donors going in through these organizations to put radical DAs and prosecutors out there, putting criminals on the streets. Does the FBI director agree that this exists and is a problem?
I will accept the factual representation, and if that exists, it is a problem.
The organizations such as TIDES, the Fair and Just Prosecution, Brenner Center for Justice, Partnership for Safety and Justice, the Vera Institute of Justice, the amount of dollars flowing from George Soros through and to these organizations and to the various prosecutors that have resulted in increased crime on our streets, including the brutal murder of the Ukrainian refugee in Charlotte. I bring that up because that is one component of the problem. In addition, we have an organized effort targeting our border. The NGOs, the nonprofits and the deep pockets, the United Nations, charitable organizations, and a long list of over 250 organizations that the Center for Immigration Studies put out that lays out a complex web of organizations that were moving people into our country, knowing that they're dangerous, knowing that they're criminal, associated with taxpayer dollars flowing through the United Nations and donor dollars flowing through organizations, including ostensibly religious ones, putting these dangerous individuals on the street that resulted in fentanyl in our communities, that resulted in the death of Jocelyn Nungare, of hundreds, thousands even, as the director testified, 100,000 people dying from these narcotics every year. All of this in an organized effort, a complete effort by the radical left to use taxpayer dollars and these dollars to put people on our streets. In addition, the extent to which we've seen now with the Southern Poverty Law Center and their hate map targeting, for example, the Family Research Council, where we had a shooting right here in DC over a decade ago, putting Charlie Kirk, putting a target on TPUSA, Antifa, other radical organizations that are very specifically organized in targeting conservatives and ordinary Americans. Well, how about the organized effort to infiltrate our schools and advance a transgender agenda and advance a radical agenda, perhaps one that we will see exposed further in the individual that actually shot Charlie Kirk? So here's my question. Will you as the director, and are you as the director, pursuing all legal channels to follow the truth wherever it may lead on this organized effort, one? And two, do you agree that Congress should take all action necessary to expose this web of dollars that are flowing to undermine our way of life? I got another minute in my time that I'd like to hear from you on this topic broadly.
I'll keep it short. Investigatively speaking, we are doing the following. We are following the money. We are following the money in every organization and every person that is violating the federal code. And it doesn't matter what your background or ideology is, we are following the money. We are using legal process to follow that money, issuing subpoenas to follow that money, using grand juries to follow that money. And when we have results to recommend for prosecution to the Department of Justice, we will do that. And we will continue to publicize documents through Congress, yes, when we make these findings.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like unanimous consent to insert the record outsourcing justice by the Law Enforcement Legal Defense Fund that I alluded to before. I would ask unanimous consent to add a 2024 list provided by the Center for Immigration Studies on these United Nations and other affiliated groups that are responsible, over 250 of them, for moving individuals into our country in a coordinated effort. I would like unanimous consent to insert a letter that I sent that currently has 33 members of the United States House of Representatives have signed on it, calling for a special select committee to pursue the organized effort from the radical left to target our way of life and undermine our security by putting criminals on the street and having our borders being wide open and putting us in danger.
Without objection.
With that, I would yield back.
Without objection. Gentleman yields back.
Mr. Chairman, I have a couple of unanimous consent
Gentleman's recognized.
One is a letter from Senator Tom Cotton, dated last year, urging the U.S. to, quote, ensure that data from U.S. companies is not harvested by the Chinese Communist Party through the purchase of Xi'an software and technology.
Without objection.
And also a statement by Marco Rubio, then Senator Marco Rubio, which warned our UK allies about, quote, Xi'an's deep ties to the People's Republic of China.
Without objection.
Also, the record crime is down in 2025. Trump doesn't deserve credit which demonstrates that the crime rates have been decreasing since 2023, which was published by the Vera
Without objection.
Institute. Also, a unanimous consent request to enter into the record a NPR report from July of 2024. GOP vows to make America safe again. Statistics contradict their growing crime claims.
Without objection.
Also, a report out of the American Presidency Project dated January 17, 2025, record low crime during the Biden-Harris administration.
Without objection.
Also, Joe Biden is correct that violent crime is near a 50-year low, which was a PolitiFact publication of May 2024. And last but not least, a FBI releases 2024 reported crimes in the nation statistics. These are FBI statistics published on August 5th, 2025, which details decreases in murder, rape, aggravated assault, and robbery in 2024.
Without objection. Gentleman from Kentucky is recognized for unanimous consent.
Mr. Chairman, I ask unanimous consent to submit two sets of documents. The first is a series of emails from the victims of Jeffrey Epstein. They are making FOIA requests to get their own FBI files and not having any success. So I want to bring attention to that by submitting that to the record. The second document that I want to submit to the record, for the record, I know we don't usually read these. This one's not readable. It's completely redacted for the most part, the first 50 pages. This is actually the search warrant that was served on James O'Keefe for a diary that he had already given to the government 2 months before. And as it turns out, there were no indictments here, yet he still doesn't know why he was raided, and I think he deserves to know. So,
Without objection.
thank you.
The chair now recognizes the gentleman from California.
Director, the first time you saw Donald Trump's name was in the Epstein files. Did you close the files or keep reading?
I have reviewed not the entirety of the files, so I have.
You haven't reviewed all of the Epstein files?
Personally, no.
You're the director of the FBI. This is the largest sex trafficking case the FBI has ever been a part of. Buck stops at the top, and your testimony today is you have not reviewed all of the files.
What I've been doing is been busy providing the safest country this country has seen in modern U.S. history in historic speed, because the men and women of the FBI are given the resources to reduce the homicide rate, to reduce the drug trafficking rate, to reduce the amount of children that are being trafficked, and the number of pedophiles.
It sounds like those children being trafficked would appreciate the director reviewing the files. You said you don't know the number of times Trump's name appears in the files, so it could at least be 1,000 times. Is that right?
The number is a total misleading factor. We have not released
number at least
anyone's
be 1,000
name
times?
that we have not released anyone's
Could it
name in the
at least
Epstein
be 1,000
files that
times?
has not been credible.
Director,
And
could it at
we have
least be 1,000
released
times?
every piece of legally permissible information.
Okay,
You can
so-
characterize the numbers however you want it.
Reclaiming my time, Director. It sounds like if you don't know the number, it could at least be 1,000 times. Which
It's not.
leads me-
It's not.
Is it at least 500 times?
No.
Is it at least 100 times?
No.
Then what's the number?
I don't know the number, but it's not that.
Do you think it might be your job to know the number?
My job is to provide for the safety and security of this country. My job is not to engage in political
And that
innuendo
includes protecting
so you can
sexual
go out to the
assault victims.
sticks and get your 20-second hit in your fundraising
reclaiming my
article.
time,
But
Director.
keep going, reclaiming your time, because the
Director,
people of California
If
are being
Trump- if the
underserved by
president-
your
If the
representation.
president is not implicated, why not release everything that involves him?
We have released everything, the president and anyone else's side, that is credible and lawfully be able to be released. Your fixation on this matter and baseless accusations that I'm hiding
Also
child
Mr. Massey's
pedophiles is disgusting.
interest.
Anyone that says that needs to look at the stats alone. And go back to the state of California, who's receiving the biggest surge in
So,
FBI resources through
Director-
my redeployment, because the cities of Los Angeles, San Diego, and San
Reclaiming
Francisco
my time,
need it.
Director. Remembering your oath to tell the truth, did you ever tell Donald Trump his name is in the files?
I have never spoken to President Trump about the Epstein files.
Did you ever tell the Attorney General that Donald Trump's name is in the Epstein files?
The Attorney General and I have had numerous discussions about the entirety of the Epstein files and the reviews conducted by our team.
Did you tell the Attorney General that Donald Trump's name is in the Epstein files?
And we have released where President Trump's name is in
It's
the
a simple
attorney's
question.
file.
Did you tell the Attorney General that the President's name is in the Epstein files?
During many conversations that the Attorney General and I have had on the matter of Epstein, we have reviewed
The question is
painstakingly
simple.
who
Did you
can
tell
be-
the Attorney General that Donald Trump's name is in the Epstein files? Yes or no?
Why don't you try spelling it out if
Yes
you're
or
going to mock
no,
me?
Director?
Use the alphabet.
Yes or no?
No? A, B, C,
Director,
D, E, F?
it
Don't
sounds
wanna
like
do
you
it?
don't want to tell us. Did you tell the Attorney General that Donald Trump's name was in the Epstein files?
Why don't you try serving your
Director,
constituency
did
by
you tell the
focusing on
Attorney
reducing
General
violent
that Donald
crime in this
Trump's
country and the number of pedophiles that
Director,
are legally
reclaiming my
harbored in
time,
your
Director.
sanctuary cities in
Director,
California?
reclaiming
I'll
my
work with
time.
you on that. Do
Regular
you want to
order,
work
Mr.
with us
Chairman.
on that?
Director,
Time
reclaiming my
belongs to the
time.
gentleman from California.
Did you tell the Attorney General that Donald Trump's name is in the Epstein files? Yes or
Question
no?
has been asked and answered.
You've not answered it, and we will take your evasiveness as a consciousness of guilt. Director, did Donald Trump ever say to you, just find and release the entire truth? Don't worry if I'm in it?
The instructions from the administration were to release all credible information, and we have done that.
Did Donald Trump ever provide information about Jeffrey Epstein as an informant?
Donald Trump has not been, and I can only speak for the FBI, an informant of the FBI.
So, Director, you've played this cute shell game where you say you can't release everything because the court has said that it legally is not allowed to be released, but the court calls bullshit. Judge Richard Berman said that when you went to the court, quote, information contained in the Epstein grand jury transcripts pales in comparison to Epstein investigation information and materials in the hands of the Department of Justice. So let's move on, Director. You wrote a book called Government Gangsters. You identified 20 individuals in that book. You put me on that list, at the top of the list. Thank you. My children find it flattering. 20 of those individuals have been investigated or have had adverse actions. Director, considering that you have identified these people as, quote, government gangsters, will you recuse yourself from making any investigation decisions about these individuals?
Anyone that has been terminated at the FBI has been done so
No, the
because
question
they failed
again.
to meet the muster in
Director,
their constitutional
I will
obligation.
work on the audio-visual capabilities.
I'm
of
going to
the room so
borrow
that you
your
can hear me.
terminology and call
I'm reclaiming
bullshit
my
on your
time.
entire career in
I'm
Congress.
reclaiming my
It has
time,
been a
Director.
disgrace to the American
Director, I'm
people.
reclaiming my
You
time.
can
Will
reclaim
you
your time all you
recuse
want.
yourself?
Mr. Chairman, you're going to
Try
allow a
protect the
witness to
citizens of
speak, Mr.
California.
Chairman?
Mr. Chairman, would you give,
recuse yourself, Director?
The gentleman has no time to.
Mr. Chairman, would you
Mr. Chairman,
admonish the
point of-
witness not to insult members?
The gentleman has no time.
Mr. Chairman,
The
just.
committee will remember.
Quick point of order. Could the gentleman be extended an additional 20 seconds to complete his thoughts since the witness decided to interrupt him
And
continuously?
the witness will be able to respond if he wants. We'll make sure he
Thank
has
you.
time to do that.
My question
Gentleman,
is,
continue.
will you, Director, recuse yourself, yes or no, from investigating or making decisions about the 60 individuals, including myself, that you identified as government gangsters? Yes or no?
Time of the gentleman has expired. The
No.
witness may respond if he would like.
And the answer was no, as I heard.
Correct.
Okay. The gentleman from Wisconsin, the gentleman yields back. The gentleman from Wisconsin is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Director Patel, for being here today. I wanted to talk a little bit about the assassination of Charlie Kirk and the FBI's subsequent investigation. I know it's really sensitive, and you can make the call as to whether or not, obviously, it's something that you can respond to, but I think it's still fresh on many people's minds. I want to congratulate you and Utah law enforcement for the work you did, and I still have questions about, and maybe the public does. According to public reports, the alleged shooter arrives on the Utah Valley University campus nearly 4 hours before the shooting. Was that your understanding? Is that kind of?
I'll let the public reports reflect themselves. I don't have the exact timeline.
Okay, so we don't have any idea kind of his prep or how he set up or how he utilized that time when he first showed up on campus?
All of those are being currently investigated through our cell phone analysis and through our witness interviews, and the state of Utah has now announced charges seeking the death penalty.